What if I told you that within a matter of moments, you can identify the limiting beliefs that are holding you back in your life? Those beliefs that are keeping you from the level of success that you want, from finding the depth in relationships that you would like, from financial abundance, that type of thing. You really can do this in just a few moments' time. In preparation for creating today's video, I asked myself one simple question, and within just a few minutes, I had already quickly identified 4 limiting beliefs with that question. Now, a couple of them were things that I wasn't too surprised by. They've been hanging around for a while. But the other two were new to me. And one of them, the way it came out, it kind of shocked me, honestly. And I will share these with you as I also go through today and share with you how to identify a few ways, 3 ways to identify your limiting beliefs, and then a 5-step process for how you can go about eliminating them as well. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Julie Barlow, the founder of JMB Living, and I am super passionate about helping people realign their lives to put wellness and the enjoyment of life at the forefront, because for many years I didn't. And so as a result, I put together a journal to help share many of the tools that helped me in that journey to get to where I am today and to creating a life that I really love. And I also have a free community online. It's called The Art of Intentional Living, where I share a lot of resources as well. So here on my channel, that's what I like to talk about, is all things intentional living related. So with respect to limiting beliefs, I guess the first question is, well, what are they? And honestly, I think it's any belief that you have that is holding you back from what you want in your life. And a lot of times, in fact, quite frequently, these are hidden from our view. And I think that happens because many of them were beliefs that were created in our formative years while we were growing up. And we kind of outgrew them, but they're still running on autopilot in the back of our head. And so that's why sometimes it can be a little tricky to identify them. But that's what I'm going to show you how to do here today. So I want to let you know before we get started that you don't need to write down anything that I'm going through here, because I went ahead and I put together a short little worksheet that you'll be able to use. You'll be able to download it. It'll be in the description. It'll have all the information that we're talking about here today. So it'll make it super easy for you. So let's start with 3 different ways to identify the limiting beliefs that you hold. So there's 3 methods that I use most frequently. And the first one is one that is more easily accessible to you, and you don't have to like sit down and do it. But what it does require is for you to really pay attention to the way that you talk about things. So it's this negative self-talk. We all do it, and some of us more than others. But when you can start recognizing when you are talking that way, it can give you a real clue to some limiting beliefs that you hold. So for instance, anytime you hear yourself saying, I can't do something, that's a really good indication that there might be a limiting belief there. So as an example, something that I noticed that I have talked about frequently that I can't do is, there's a friend of mine that the personal trainer that we go to, she goes at 6 o'clock in the morning time, and I go at 8:30. And I, think to myself that I would love to get up at 6 o'clock and knock that out early in the morning. But I find myself telling her I can't do that because I need more sleep, or because I can't seem to get to sleep soon enough at night so that I can actually get up at that time. That's too early. So all these things come in my mind, but you hear the I can't do that because. And so when you hear that word I can't, or the 2 words I can't, then that's a really good indication. Because if I step back and think about it, and this is the second question to ask yourself with respect to these, is what could I do differently? So if I ask myself, what could I do differently about being able to get up and go to the 6 o'clock physical training? Well, there's a lot of things that I could do differently. And so what it really boils down to, those beliefs that I have about needing more sleep, etc., they aren't true, because there's things that I can restructure so that I still get the amount of sleep that I need. But the bottom line is, maybe I just don't want to get up that early, right? It sounds nice, but at the end of the day, I'm not ready to do that right now. So that's the first one. So then the second one, and here's where you get into ones that seem to be a little harder to identify, is, and it takes a bit of reflection, is thinking about the patterns that you have in your life that keep coming back up again, the challenges that you keep bumping up against in your life repetitively. So you might hear yourself thinking, why does this always happen to me? And nobody else seems to have this problem. That's a really good indication when you hear that. When you're thinking that this is happening repetitively and other people don't have this problem, there's probably some beliefs that underlie that are causing you to keep continuing to have this challenge again and again in your life. And so to figure out what those limiting beliefs are, one of the easiest ways to identify those is to ask yourself the question, what belief would someone else have, say my friend, what belief would my friend have to have in order for this challenge to keep coming up in her life again and again and again? So it's sometimes easier when we're thinking about what someone else would have to believe than when we're trying to identify what we believe that's holding us back. It kind of lets you step outside the box and look at things a little differently. And that can be really helpful when you're talking about identifying patterns in your life that you keep having these challenges. The third one is a process of journaling. So I mentioned at the beginning of the video that I really quickly came up with 4 limiting beliefs as I was preparing for the video today. And I was using the process of journaling to come up with those. So I told you I'd share them with you. So on those, what I had, the journal prompt that I had asked myself, and you can tweak this differently. And again, I'll have this in the worksheet for you so that you don't have to write it down right now. But I wrote down, what keeps my business from growing as quickly as I would like? So identifying what beliefs are keeping you from doing whatever. So in my case, what keeps my business from growing as quickly as I would like? And I told you a couple of them were things that I already kind of knew. That one was, it would be difficult to lead a balanced life and spend time doing other things that I want to do as well. Well, there are plenty of people that manage to figure out how to do that. Another one I wrote down is, I am not capable of the leadership it would require to operate at a bigger scale. So the one that I told you kind of surprised me and shocked me a little bit in the way it came out. And I knew this one a little bit, but I wrote down in my journal, I'm scared that it will eat me alive if it becomes too big. So that one is just a fear that it's going to take way too much time and energy. But it was interesting to see like the thought that came in my mind and what I wrote down. So those are a few of the limiting beliefs that I came up with in a matter of like 5 minutes time. So the next question is, well, this is all great, right? But once you find these, what do you do with them? So let's get on to the process for eliminating those limiting beliefs once you find them. So I've said it's a 5-step process here, but in all honesty, I don't know that these necessarily have to go in order 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Probably this first one, write it down, is something that you probably want to do first and right away. And the reason for that is once you find that limiting belief, it can be easy just to forget about it too. So the process of writing it down actually lets you pay more attention to it. It tells your brain this is something to pay attention to. And your brain actually responds to the process of writing something down differently than if you just think it in your mind and say, I'm going to remember this and move on with it. So I do think it is a good idea to actually write it down so that you'll pay attention to it. This second thing that I've written down is to craft a new one. So you want a new process for your brain to say a new belief that counteracts that belief, if you will. It can be something that's exactly the opposite, or it can be something that makes you feel like you're going in the right direction. So, for example, with the belief that I had written down here that I am not capable of the leadership it would require to operate at a bigger scale, a new belief might be something like, I am learning and taking the actions needed to be able to be a leader that and that's going to be too long at this point. So maybe let me try again. I am actively working on becoming a leader that will allow me to scale this business. And in my mind, when I say that, I need to remember the things that I am doing actively so that I actually believe that's a true belief, the new one that I've created. So it can be things like I'm getting mentoring, I am getting coaching, I am taking courses, I'm reading books, I am actively doing the things that I need to do to practice leadership skills. So I do think, though, actually writing that new belief down as well so that you can help yourself make sure that you remember that that's the new monologue that you want in your brain is also really helpful. Another methodology is categorizing things as old versus new. And one of my favorite ways that I've seen of doing this is in a book that I had enjoyed reading once. It's called Red Mountain. And one of the main characters in the book, her name is Margaret. And she had this method where she would say, this is Margaret 1.0 and this is Margaret 2.0. So for instance, if she was to go down to the local coffee shop because she was always berating herself about her weight and how she did things and, just really super self-critical. So she might say something like, she wanted ate a donut at the coffee shop. She wanted to eat a donut. And she might this time say, well, Margaret 1.0 would have kicked myself all day for eating this donut, but Margaret 2.0 is going to eat this donut and she is going to enjoy it. And then she's going to take a long walk later and she's still going to feel really good about it. Put it in your head that you've got this new version of you that you are becoming, if you will. And so categorizing the beliefs of the older version of you versus this newer version of you can help you kind of remember. You set up this framework was thinking, I'm thinking like this now instead of like that. And so I think that can be really helpful too. Then another really helpful thing is to find evidence to dispute that the limiting belief truly is not a true statement, that it's not a true belief. So if you can write down a number of things that really dispute that belief, you'll find it much easier to let go of that. Might be something like you think, I'm too old to start this particular thing in my life. Well, I bet you if you go out and research on the internet about people doing things and starting projects and careers and that type of thing at an older age, you're going to find tons of evidence to dispute the fact that you're too old. I mean, people start things and accomplish amazing things well into their later years. So there's all kinds of evidence out there of people doing things that can help prove to you that you can do more than you may think and more than you may be telling yourself. So the fifth thing that I've written down is to create a new neural pathway. And so what you have to remember here is that, we talked in the beginning about particularly with hidden beliefs running on autopilot in the background, your brain's been hearing this belief for a long time. So it's pretty solid pathway for that brain to easily believe that. And so it's like the first and easiest path of least resistance for it to go down. So you have to create a new deep groove, if you will, that is for that new, more positive belief. And so there's a number of ways that you can do this. Affirmations are a great way. So you take that new belief that you crafted and make it into the form of an affirmation so that you're saying it and repeating it on a regular basis. If you need more help with affirmations, I've got help on my website for that, but they're a great tool. Vision boards. Actually putting your new belief on a vision board so that you're seeing it, working with it, repeating it, that type of thing. That's going to help you create that new pathway. And even just writing them down. I have a tendency to use them in several ways in my journal, because when I'm using my journal, I'm using it as a tool for personal growth as opposed to capture my life history or anything. My journal use is more for personal growth. Not that there's anything wrong with the other, but that's how I use mine. And so there's a number of ways that I am working on limiting beliefs within the journal. Like the one is having my vision board right here in the front of the journal. So we were talking about leadership. So you can see right here, I have front and center on the vision board the word lead, and that's because I've chosen that as my word of the year too. So, this is something that is going to help me reframe the underlying messages that are going in my brain to be more positive in putting things towards the direction that I want. So that's one way. I also have this, I actually have a section here where I have this mindset shift. So I kind of look at these on a daily basis as well. So these are actually new positive beliefs, going from negative thoughts to positive thoughts. Excuse me. And then I've done some belief work in here as well. And yeah, there's some beliefs here. I've got that tabbed in here so that I can work on that. And then oftentimes, like today, when I went through and identified those new limiting beliefs that we found, I probably will add those into this area that has these beliefs that I've been working on. So this is a tool that I'm using on a daily basis to help me create that new neural pathway in my brain by repetitively going over these new beliefs, if you will. Limiting beliefs are so prevalent and they hinder so many people from finding happiness in their life. So I'm really happy to share this with you here today, and I hope that you found it helpful too. I also want to let you know that if you're interested in taking a deeper dive on managing your belief system in general, this coming Thursday at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, I will be giving a workshop, a masterclass on managing your belief system. It's called Change Your Beliefs, Change Your Life. Would love to see you there. There will be a link down in the description where you can RSVP to that and get signed up for that. And don't forget to grab the freebie that I created for you, the little worksheet, so that you can go ahead and take a look at your own limiting beliefs and get yourself on the road to getting rid of them completely. So thank you so much for spending this time here with me today and listening, and have yourself an absolutely amazing week.